introduce yourself to the people. Let us know who you are, where you
Yeah,
from,
for
all your
sure.
past projects, things like that.
Gotcha. So my name is Jerell. I'm an R&B pop artist from originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I've been doing music for about 5 years right now. Going on 5 years since I got out of high school, really doing music professionally, of course. But I've always been into music, even when I was talking. Really, I was singing. I've done everything from plays, commercials, choir, anything that involves singing until I, wanted to get into music. So I started doing music back in 2015. So more than 5 years. Dang. I didn't even think of it like that. I was doing music my freshman year and I put out a song called Flex. It's still out there. I didn't take it off of anything, off of streaming platforms. Rex, have you heard that song, Flex?
I have not.
Yeah, it's one of my it was my first song I put out, and I cringe at it when I look back at it and I listen to it. But and ever since then I started, I just was releasing music consistently. Then by the time I got towards the end of high school, really I was considering making music my career. I was going to college and things didn't really plan out how I wanted to. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go full force with my music. So those years I had dropped songs like Mamacita, Love Me No More. Really proud of those songs because DCP, which is how you found me, through Dance Through the Pain. Those songs like Love Me No More, those were milestones for me because I had done things I hadn't done with my music beforehand. Like with Mamacita, I ended up getting over 50,000 streams. That was one of the first times I had really seen that amount of number, and I realized, wow, I really can do this. I mean, there's a difference between garnering 50,000, 100,000 to 1,000 streams. When you level up, your music is like a representation of that in the numbers. That really does something to you. It really makes you feel like, okay, this might be something I can really do and stick my teeth in. So Love Me No More came out, and that song actually reached the top iTunes 200. So that was another big achievement for me that, at the time I really didn't process it how I really wanted to. Like, wow, that's big, right? To be able to say, hey, my music as an independent artist was charting in the top 200 of iTunes with other artists that are with labels, some artists that are independent but got more, marketing or whatever behind them. So, right now I took a 3 year hiatus. I had a child. I got a baby girl now, and so I had to really prioritize and figure out what was, what were my priorities like, even though music was always a part of my life. And now I'm finally back with a brand new single called Mine. So,
Okay, okay. That was a lot, man. That was a lot to unpack. And if y'all haven't seen our previous interview, man, we go into a whole lot more of the background and
for
everything
sure.
else that makes up Jarrell. But yeah, man, just give us a little, kind of little taste of just like, kind of like when that top 200 went to Billboard, man. Like, what was the moment? Like, what was that like?
Man, honestly, so being on the iTunes Top 200, man, it was something that I couldn't really believe. Like, is my music really up there? I think I was like sandwiched between like Maxwell and like Jacquees or something at the time, and I still got the screenshot of when I first seen it. So that was a big moment for me, and we actually used that to promote the song. Believe it or not, people really, when they see stuff like that and they see those achievements, even though they might not know me as an artist, they look at that and say, wow, he must be somebody I need to be paying attention to then, since he got music in the top 200 of iTunes. So I think for me, it was more so it gave me some credibility, which in music, you can never have too much of that. So, for me, it was big and it was a turning point in my career because it was more than streams. It was more than, oh, you got so many followers on Instagram. You actually showing up with not people that are necessarily your peers, but people that could potentially be your peers, or people that, you grew up listening to. You're like, wow, my music is up there with them. And again, these people have labels, they have the marketing behind them. So it was big for me to be in the top 200 of iTunes. And I think I had ended up going all the way up to like 121 on the charts. So that was big for me.
Okay. And just kind of walk us through like what's your marketing process like when you start a new song, and like how that process goes for you.
I mean, honestly, it really depends on the song, Rex. Like, depends on how I'm what the song sounds like, what the market is like. every song kind of has its own individual marketing plan. But I really do feel like it still has to stay on brand for me. And I think for many artists, when you are doing marketing, each song or each project is different, but keep it all in the same aesthetic and keep it on brand for you. If you are going to venture out of your brand, think of it more as an expansion of your brand and not more of a new brand or identity. And that's what you're going for. With marketing, I really say the biggest thing really is to make sure that you have a lot of moving parts. And that's a really convoluted answer, but that's really important. And when I say a lot of moving parts, I mean, okay, you got your social media, which is your organic engagement. You have advertising, which is getting your new people. You have playlisting, which is getting people who inherently listen to those playlists already on their radar. Then you got these sit downs that we're doing right now that make it real personable for them to get to know you. People, people buy, but they also stream from people they like. Your music can be good, but sometimes it takes a little bit of an extra layer of personability to be like, hey, I relate to you. Let me go check your music out. And a lot of our favorite, not celebrities, but favorite artists, we relate to on a different level. Whether that being with, a lot of people I heard, hey, I relate to Eminem because, I can relate to his sobriety. I can relate to this artist because I can relate to this part of them or something that they've, been a big advocate for. So for me, just making sure you got all these different moving parts that all come together and kind of like a melting pot, and then it's all going to work itself, especially in the day and age of internet now. You got to be really on point with the algorithm. And the only way to get in the algorithm is have them picking up your articles on Google, have them picking up your playlists on Spotify, have them picking up all the traffic you're getting from your Instagram, your TikTok. And then on top of that, you're doing ads. And ads for a small artist doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I have $300 in a budget. It can be $5 a day, to really help get some extra eyes on your content, on your brand, on your music. $5 a day. I kid you not, you would be surprised what you can do with that. So just have a plan and make sure you don't have one strategy. You have multiple avenues for your promotion. So that way, say you don't get that much pull from the playlist you on. Well, you already have an organic engagement that push people to your song anyways. Say you don't really get much from your first day, second day of advertising, but you do have that playlist to kind of fill in the gap. So you always want to have everything prepared and kind of just, ready to go.
Right, right. And to go back to your point of just like, personality,
Yeah,
like I've met plenty of artists and, even our, bigger artists is like I remember like 21 Savage, like I wasn't a fan of him at first because I felt like I could relate to, what he was talking about way back then. And then
yeah,
I said, okay, I saw an interview with him on the Breakfast Club and I said, oh, okay, he actually has a pretty cool mindset. He
yeah,
actually thinks bigger than what his music is saying. And some,
yeah,
some artists, they talk that stuff in their music, but they're actually really smart. They just don't, they just don't show it in their music.
for sure.
But yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
man.
I think that is key. And I really would like to say, like, with my music, more so, everything that I'm talking about in my music, I'm living and I'm talking about, which a lot of it is love. So it's very complex, as we all know, but it can be very surface level too. So I will say that doing those interviews and really letting people know who you are and giving a little bit of insight really goes a long way.
Awesome, man. So tell us about this new single.
Man, so the new single is called Minds. It's available on all platforms. Um, it's a it's very sexy and romantic. I wrote this song about 4 to 5 years ago, so it's a pretty cool track. I love the beat on this. The producer on this is Nate Rhodes. He did his thing on this particular beat. Everything about this song I like. I love the roughness about it, the rawness of it. It's about something very simple. If you actually decode the lyrics, it really is talking about this idea of being selfish with your love, which I think is a good and bad thing. That's why I wrote it this way, because I just feel like your love shouldn't be exclusive. It should be something that people really take and be like, okay, this is mine. I don't want anybody else to have this particular type of love that we have or that you're giving me. So I think to a certain aspect, I really feel what I'm saying in this song. But then also there's some parts about it that maybe having a selfish love isn't the best type of love. So I always try to create something that people can create a conversation around. And everybody can have a different opinion. You might feel a different way about my song, or I might feel a different emotion than the next person. So that's important to me to make sure that not only is the music universal, for everybody to be able to relate, but everybody can have an opinion about it and it's fine. Um, Mine's is a song that I've been working on. It took me like 2 sessions to get it done. We were gonna make it a little bit more polished, but we decided to go with the rawness of it just because it is that old, so like classic R&B, Life Jennings, like real old Chris Brown like type of vibe. I even got Trey Songz when I played it to some people. They were like, you sound like a little bit like Trey Songz, but I really wanted to just make it that classic R&B, that throwback kind of feel. Bring love back. It's so much easier to talk about love than hate. So I'd rather put that through my music, but that's always going to be a consistent theme in my music. But I really wanted to get back to my R&B roots. So we went ahead and kind of went with this single and, just playing with, see what's out there and see what the listeners like. And I got some more where that comes from that's still in the R&B, very R&B centric, because after I put these few singles out, just know we are going into a whole different direction. So,
Okay, okay. And talk about like kind of like how the change in your music has like progressed from back then to now.
I mean, honestly, as far as, and it's funny because the lyrics were written at a time when this was what 4 or 5 years ago, so I was fairly young. I mean, I still am young, but I was really young when you consider the gap, fresh out of high school. So like, if I when looking at the lyrics, I really didn't know that much about love or the complexities of love. However, though, those lyrics are still true, and they reign even more true now that I've been through so much and experienced and seen and felt. So it's like my music sonically has changed, though my voice has changed, and I think that's important to note because, we talked off camera before, but I'm going in such a different direction, more pop centric music that it's even changed how I approach my more R&B simplistic music, if that makes sense. And I really only put these songs out. I mean, put this particular song out because I felt like I hadn't put out music in a while. I really need to get my feet wet before I really, you know what I'm saying, jump out there and really present all this newness to everybody. So I say, you know what? I got some music in the vault that I got already written. Fuck it. Why not? I'm sorry. Was I supposed to cuss? I mean,
You
that ain't they
good?
gonna block us.
You good?
Okay.
You good?
You know how you look. You know how they get. And next thing
Yeah,
you know,
man. And like I remember like way back when you were like heavy on Instagram, you were doing the promotion. I'd always see it'd be a different picture every other day, or
I try.
or I don't know, just something unique. That's a part of your
Yeah, I
brand,
hear you. Thank you.
and you know, it always sticks out to me like, okay, when somebody has like all these different things going on and you can actually say, okay, they actually take care of themselves and their brand. They're like,
Yeah,
it's a spitting reflection of them. It's like, okay, the colors match the dress,
yeah.
like you got the roses and everything like that. It all works out just so perfectly. And I'm pretty sure, like, it wasn't perfect at first. You had to work and plan and you had to, like, think about it.
Honestly, it's not perfect now. It's always a struggle and it's always a plan, especially as an independent artist, because a lot of people don't really know, but like I don't really have like a big team, working around me. So a lot of what you see is hard work, it's me sourcing these different things, these different opportunities that I'm doing, these performances and all these photo shoots and these things. These are things that I've arranged and figured out myself, right? Which, don't get me wrong, as an independent artist, that is pretty much your job in the very beginning. You have to play the artist, the A&R, the marketing specialist, the publicist. You have to really play all those roles because it's a more cost effective way, right? But then also too, it's a lot of times it's not about what you have and all that. It's about who you know, and when you know certain people, it gets a lot easier for you. And don't get me wrong, I have built up relationships over the years throughout my music where I've been able to build a foundation of people that I can say, hey, I know it's been a while since I've done my music, but I really would love for you to check this out. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? I can do that because I got that network. Even a lot of people I still haven't reached out to about my newest single, and that's okay because I've been so busy on getting it promoted out everywhere, doing my due diligence. And I really appreciate you, Rex, for pointing that out because I really try hard to make sure that content is important, especially like I'm big on photo shoots and I'm big on getting out visuals that look appropriate for my brand, on brand for my music. Especially with R&B, I think it's really important to have the look right because people will judge you before they even listen to your music. So if your look isn't there, then it's like, what are you doing? Especially with R&B. With rap, I think you can kind of get away with finding your swag as you go. But R&B, you kind of have to look like you have it figured out before you have it figured out. So I think that's the key to why I do what I do. If you look at my page, I try to make sure that my content is there. The pictures look, in the same aesthetic. We have colors is a big one. Somebody told me if you can find your color wave, people will respond to that. So I wanted to go for vintage for this love song that's vintage, this vintage love, because love is timeless, love is classic. Might as well go for vintage as it goes with the theme. Why not? So, and it's also very on brand for me. So I try to make sure that that's really in front to brand. Because in the long run, that's gonna do me a lot more, help than harm. So I'm big on making sure that we get the brand out there. So I appreciate you for saying that, that it looks perfect. But trust me, y'all. And if any artists watching this, it's okay to struggle with content because I struggle every day. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not out actually going to different events and dressing up every day, I'm gonna be honest. I don't dress up every day. I hate dressing up. I used to be the guy in high school that would put that on and this would be an everyday thing. But as I've gotten older, I really don't like it. I like to be in comfortable clothes, chilling. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the look that I'm going for on my social media. That's not the look of Jerell, the artist. So like it's hard when you're trying to come up with content and you gotta make sure you got the fit on. You gotta make sure you're in places that look that is very similar of your brand or ambiance. You really want to set the tone. So that's why it's important, when you're out and about to get as much content as you can. But then I've also had to learn that content is more than just looking good. It's they want to know who you are outside of your music. They want to know what you're doing at home. They want to know your favorite food. They want to know what you like and what you don't like. Stuff like that. That's content in itself too. So I have to remind myself content is not just centered around my music, it's centered around my life, who I am, what I like to do. You know what I'm saying? And my community will follow after that. So
Awesome, awesome, man. And speaking of, things you like to do outside of music, like what is Jerell like? What does he do? What's going on?
man, I mean, okay, so well, first things first, I'm a big wrestling fan. I even thought about doing some like reactions or live something to wrestling. I've never wanted to do that ever before because I'm big on separating my music and other things. And I'd be damn if I get I get recognized off of that first before my music. That would kill me. So I think I'm still trying to figure that out if I want to do something like that. Because don't get me wrong, you don't necessarily want to just I just do this one thing. Most artists have a plethora of things that they do that build their brand. But if finding the balance of the two would definitely be something. But that's another reason why I don't want to make that into something I do because wrestling is something I like to do that I like to watch and participate in discussions and talk about it on my free time. I have a big issue and a big problem with making stuff that I like into trying to make money off of it. Not everything that you love to do should be a money making thing. Like I feel like I have a hard time separating the two sometimes, Like I love clothes, so then I decided to get into streetwear, you know what I'm saying? So we're society, right? But wrestling is something I think I want to just keep as something I like to do on the side. I would love to train to be a wrestler one day. I will say that if I ever got the chance to do that, I would go in a heartbeat. Um, what else do I like doing? I mean, I'm a big music lover. Obviously, that's not a surprise. Uh, I like movies. I watch movies often. Movies are something that I do. I mean, I watch. I love a good movie. I watch about 10, 12 movies a week. I'm big on movies, so I love a good movie,
Wow.
comedy and thriller. I'm not big on horror, but I'll sit and watch it. Um, Other than that, and being a father and working on my music, I really don't have anything I like to do. I don't game, so never really was big into getting a system. And I always tell my brother like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a system." He like, "For what? You're not even gonna use it, so it's kind of pointless." So you know, yeah, it's funny because I tell people all the time I'm kind of boring. Like outside of my music and the stuff that I do, I'm really kind of boring. I will say that. So I'm trying to find other stuff outside of music and like wrestling and those little few things that I like. I really don't have time for anything else. So I like to travel. I do like to travel. I will say that I travel a lot in the United States. Now I'm getting ready to get my passport, so I'm in hopes that I'll be able to travel and maybe tour. Who knows? Um, and just just see the world. And I really want to see the world. I want to go to Bali. I want to go to Dubai. I want to go to some different places. I was a travel agent for a while, so if you're gonna be a travel agent, you kind of want to travel. So I was a travel agent for a minute, so I do love to travel and I like to eat, but I feel like that's every normal human being like favorite thing to do, like eat. Like who don't like eat? So you know, other than that, man, I'm pretty boring. Hey, Miracle, I had to shout my friend out. I've been knowing her since kindergarten. I kid you not.
Man, that's a lot, man. Like, so with the movies, man, like in term, like when you watch a movie, like, does your music like kind of take inspiration with those movies as well? Do you like pick ideas from movies and like try to incorporate those into videos, into like the
Mhm.
lyrics?
That's actually pretty smart that you put it that way. Incorporating things that you see from movies into like videos and stuff. Maybe I have done it indirectly, but I can't tell you that I've done it like intentionally. Movies, no. My personal music that I listen to, yes. You'd be surprised how much inspiration I take from like music that's in my playlist. Like people ask me, well, what do you like listening to? I don't listen to hip hop. I used to be a big fan. I was listening to my Young Boy, my JD Young, and my Quando Rondo, I was listening to that type of stuff. But I
Right.
think as I got older, and like I'm only 23, so I say that like I'm going on 40. But I really feel like my music taste has changed, and like I said, I'm going into a more pop centric, avenue, and I mainly listen to more pop music. So, and that when I say pop, I mean EDM, techno, a house, stuff like that, which is actually what got hip on when you listen to DTP. That's a house dance music. So that was what you got introduced by me, with. So I take very big inspiration from the music that I listen to outside of what I put out. So yeah.
And that was like my first time actually like listening to some house and dance. Like I've listened to tracks like that because I'm big like a rock fan. They kind of
Okay. Yeah.
intermingle the genres, so it's like it's not necessarily my first time, but in terms of how you do it, that was new for my ears, and I said, "Oh, I like this. This is new. This is interesting. I
Uh,
want to know more."
you You know what? And I appreciate that, man, because that song, and I'll be honest, that song really didn't do as well as I wanted it to. And that's okay. The big thing about music is
Right.
that there's a lot of trial and error. So, and I'm not afraid to mention that. I mean, not afraid to, tell you that because it is what it is, right?
Hmm.
But DTP was it was a risk I was taking, especially with my sound. But I felt even more comfortable in that sound than I do in R&B, which is such a strange feeling because a lot of people would be like, well, you could do these riffs and runs like R&B's like your thing. But like really, I'm big on Gaga, I'm big on Michael, I'm big on Beyonce, I'm big on these bigger artists and these bigger not bigger artists because there's I mean these, I just want to say more so these pop figures. You know, like when you think of them, Bruno Mars, you think of pop music. You think of transcending from state to state, transcending from country to country, universal appeal. R&B can be very specific and selective
Mm-hmm.
versus pop has this very broad appeal, and I've always wanted my music to have that appeal. So I think that going into that realm with DTP really paved the way for what's coming next.
Okay, okay. So with you getting, with you working on the passport and everything like that, like where are some places you want to travel outside of the United States?
Okay, outside the United States, so Bali is definitely one of them. I was going to go to Bali for my 21st because it was they call it your golden year. Because my birthday is 11/21, and so I was going to be 21 on 11/21 in 2021. So I really wanted to, go to Bali that year. I didn't have a passport, so that obviously that was an issue. And then two, I worked in a job where there were blackout days, so you couldn't necessarily get those days off. So I didn't do that for my birthday. I had to do something that I could, do at the crib or whatever the case may be. So, but anyways, Bali is one of my dream trips. I really want to go to Bali. Um, Dubai, one of my customers was telling me about Dubai, so I really, really was, looking at Dubai. They say they had nothing but great things to say about Dubai. I don't know if I could do it the whole no touching PDA thing. I'm kind of like big on that, so I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but I don't want to slip up and do it and then I'm arrested. Like, so that's that's the only thing I would kind of be like, okay. But where else? I mean, of course, Jamaica and I definitely want to go to Jamaica, definitely want to go to um probably Japan too. That's an interesting one. I've been hearing a lot about Japan. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it's many more. I just cannot really think right now. But yeah, I definitely want to see and travel the world. And whether that be with my music or with other things, my kid, family, who knows?
Awesome, man. And when you take those trips and you taking those sounds from those countries, I can't wait to hear what the next evolution of your
Yeah,
music is gonna be like.
yeah. You never know.
Because those fan bases over there, they ride, especially India. They ride
Mhm.
for like their artists and stuff like that.
That's one of my biggest things is I already have, I guess you could say, a lot of my, if I look at my numbers, like a lot of my base is pretty international. I get a lot of streams
Mm.
from Canada. Is one of my biggest markets. I get more streams in a lot of Canada cities than I do in some United States cities. It's very interesting. But around Love Me No More, Canada became a really big market for me and expanded open for me. So I really do appreciate Canada. Shout out to Canada. Um, Canada has been one. Of course, the United Kingdom. They always are lovely. You really want to think about those markets when you're expanding your music because there's more than the United States. There's so much out there. So I consider that, when we're doing our advertising, our marketing, eventually, the markets will be bigger. We'll have more people that are more fans, so we'll be able to come out there and do things like shows and talk to people and really interact with my fans because that's my biggest thing. I really want to build in this community of fans that not adore me, but they know my music is there. Like that's my biggest thing. I'm not into all the you know me. I'm very serious about my music, and I'm very serious about making music that is going to evoke emotion out of people, whatever that may be. And I always talk about things like love and self awareness and self love and kind of just talking your shit, and that's who I am. And again, love isn't just relationship love too. I think a lot of people get it confused. It's self love. It's family love. It's being able to understand what that even means, just off beyond surface level. There are so many different, assets to it. And of course, with R&B, it's one of those things that you attract way more with, sugar than salt. So, it. I know we live in a day and age where love isn't really as glorified. It isn't really like, we come from when they was begging for the love and they was in the rain and they was, you know, it
Right.
felt like there was a passion around it. Now we're in a time where it's actually more popular to talk down on love. Forget love.
Mm-hmm.
Love ain't shit. Love ain't doing nothing. I'd rather, be single or do me or not do the love thing, do the whole thing. You know where we going with music. So to me, that feels very classic, retro, and raw because I can bring that and I can bring that to where love is still valued in these different cities and states and countries. And don't get me wrong, love is still valued in the United States. Don't get me wrong. But in music as a culture, we really have done a number on people's ideas of love. Remember, people used to stay for the craziest stuff in love with their partners, stay with their partners. And now we have normalized, even if there's one issue, that's not something that you'd be willing to work through. That's something you'd be willing to walk away from. We've normalized that. Now, of course, there's layers to it, and there's different complexities to it, and some things need to be walked away from, depending on how bad things are. But we have normalized, ain't even a discussion. Next, you know what I'm saying? Like even in
Mm-hmm.
relationships, you can't even get out in the dating market now. Nobody's tolerating anything. As soon as they feel like red flag, next. It used to be, well, if I'm willing to deal with it or if I'm willing to live with it, then I'm willing to accept that because I accept your weird, you accept my weird. Now it's like we moving in a fashion where, well, your word is just a little too weird for me. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't think we're going to be able to do this, which I get it. If that person's not for you, let them go. But at the same time, it seems like we just don't value trying to keep things afloat, trying to make things work, trying to work through an issue because it's not that big of an issue to completely ruin everything. Everybody's so quick to move on and go to the next because what's next is obviously always better, which we know that not to be true. So,
Exactly. Exactly, man. And on that note, bro, like, just reintroduce yourself. Tell us about the single again, and we out.
of course, man, well, my name is Jerell. I'm an R&B pop artist hailing from St. Louis, Missouri. I've been doing music for 4 or 5 years, and I took a bit of a hiatus, but I'm back doing music. I want y'all to check out my brand new single, Minds. It's available on all platforms. It's Minds by Jerell, Jerell. It's also in the link in my bio, so check that out. Come to my page. I would love to have you a part of the community. I'd love to have you on my channel. I'm releasing a lot more music and a lot more different things for my fans and my supporters soon. So I can't wait to be able to get those things out and really just share my love of music with my fans. We all got the same passions. It's love, being human. We all want to be loved. We all give love out, and I mean, what's better than that? So, I'd rather talk about love and sing about love any day than hate. And I would love for y'all to come join me. I love to have y'all. Again, my new single is out now. Thank you, Rex, for always having me. Man, you are always great. You always got great questions. And I appreciate you for supporting me, way back when, So, um,
Anytime.
yeah, for sure, man. Well, thank you to Rex listeners. Thank you to Minds for tuning in and checking in, y'all. And I will see y'all next go round.
All right, man. We gonna talk more. We got more on the way. You're definitely gonna see some more
For
content from me and Jerell,
sure.
so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah,
And
for sure, man.
we got more on the way.
And before we go, I want to thank you again. I appreciate your platform, not just for me as an artist, for everybody. The Rex provides a platform, that's not just dope, but it's insightful. And we appreciate you for it. So shout out to you.
Appreciate it, man. And we out.